at first it seemed like, why would I get somebody to do something that I could do myself? But the amount of time that I'm freeing up for me to do whatever I want to do and just spend 5, 10, 20 minutes on something, it's the best thing in the world.
Originating from deep inside the Rocky Mountains, transported through the power of the internet, and arriving inside your tiny earbuds. It's the Appraiser Coach Podcast, helping appraisers increase their efficiency, quality, and make more money. Here's the guy who makes it his life's mission to create value for real estate appraisers nationwide. Your host and the Appraiser Coach, Dustin Harris.
And welcome back to the program, everybody. Dustin Harris hanging out once again with you. Got a great guest coming up, a re-guest, if you will. He's been here before, and can't wait to talk to my good friend. But first, I want to pause here and remind you that we're sponsored by 3 great companies. Of course, a la mode being one of them. A la mode is the software that I've been using for years and years. There's a reason they are number one, and you need to find out. I shouldn't say there's a reason. There are reasons, plural, that they are number one. Take a peek at what they have to offer by going to alamode.com or 800 Alamo. Datamaster, helping appraisers to save time. Folks, we talk about it all the time. Technology is your friend. If you can utilize it to save you time, it saves you money. It's not a cost anymore. It's an investment. It's Datamaster, datamasterusa.com. Again, datamasterusa.com. And of course, Working RE magazine. Working RE sending out emails for free on information that's happening in your world, the appraisal world. Check them out by going to workingre.com and sign up for their free newsletter. Again, it's workingre.com. All right, folks, I want to welcome back to the program good friend of mine, Mr. Courtney Hoffman. Courtney, welcome back to the program, my friend.
It is an absolute honor. I'm like one of your biggest fans on the face of this earth. And again, it's an absolute honor to be back on your show.
I don't know if I believe that or not, but I'll take it, man. I'm blessed.
If an appraiser don't listen to your episodes from the beginning to the end and don't love you, then I don't know what's wrong.
Oh, I've got quite a few that don't love me, but I'll take it, my friend. Thank you. You're very kind. So Courtney was on the program clear back in 2018. Can you believe it's been that long?
Yeah, time is going by so fast.
It's been a while. It was on episode number 367. So if my listeners want to go back and get to know Courtney a little bit better, I believe on that episode, Courtney, you talked about a rural road and peeing on a deer.
You're absolutely right. I'm surprised you remember that.
Dude, I can't forget it. I'm trying, but I can't get it out of my mind.
Yeah. I was chased because I do a lot of rural appraisals, and that was just one of the ones that stuck out the most. It was deer. I was trying to use it, and the deer, I guess I was peeing on the deer head, and he just chased me around. I ended up on top of the hood of the car, and the deer just kept running around. Just surprised it didn't jump up there with me, but yes.
Well, that type of episode is called Appraiser Stories, and it's where we get to know appraisers across the country. It's one of our most popular styles of podcasting, and we haven't done a lot of those lately. So shout out to each of my listeners if you've not had that opportunity to kind of tell your story. And Courtney, it's not that bad, right? It's a lot of people shy away from it. They think it's going to be hard, it's going to be difficult, but that wasn't a hard episode to do.
No, it wasn't. It was very, very easy. And I was actually nervous doing it because I'm an introvert. I was very nervous about doing the show, and I just said, let me just jump out there. But after doing it, it was just, I'm very comfortable now. It's just like talking to a friend, a brother.
I was going to challenge you on that a little bit when you say you're an introvert, because I get a lot of, I say that as well. I say I'm an introvert, and I am, and people challenge me on that. But I don't know about you, but when it comes to something like this, you can put on a happy face, and you can be an extrovert for a period of time, right?
Well, yeah, definitely, because it's kind of like you're acting in a sense, because you're still by yourself. You're in the room alone, and it's and I'm in a room alone, and I can talk. And when you're speaking, when I do like Facebook Live or something, and it's just me, so I'm comfortable. I'm just talking. So, but put me in a room with a group of people, I'll break down.
I hear you, my friend. I can't stand it very often or very long myself. So I gotta circle back for a little bit. So you do Facebook Lives. Is that for business or is that for personal use?
I do. It's kind of both, but I rarely does Facebook Live because I'm just not comfortable yet. So I'm just now really trying to start doing it. But when I do Facebook Live, I give a lot of money away. I do a lot of giveaways for special events or special for people like Mother's Day, Father's Day, Christmas, those kind of things. I do a little giveaway, and it's like I do it from my Facebook page, and
very cool.
It works good. So I give a lot away.
I love that. I love that, my friend. Okay, well, we are going to do a very different episode today. Again, if you want to get to know Courtney, episode number 367, clear back in September of 2018. But today I want to talk to you about virtual assistants, and specifically, we're talking overseas assistants. It's something that we talk a lot about here on the Appraiser Coach podcast, something that we deal a lot with in my mastermind groups and at the All-Star team. But there's, I would say, Courtney, even though it's becoming more and more popular, it's still a challenge. And there's really only a pocket of, a handful of appraisers across the nation that are actually utilizing virtual assistants, meaning people not in your brick and mortar office, not even in your hometown, not even in your country, sometimes clear across the world. But that's something that you've done, Courtney. So talk to us about that. Tell us your background with virtual assistants, VAs.
Well, virtual assistants, they are the greatest asset that you have in your company. But the challenge to it is letting go and trying to figure out, because you've been doing it so long yourself, is trying to figure out what to actually give up, allow somebody else to do it. But with my report writing, that's what I use my virtual assistants for. I've been using virtual assistant out of, I think it was India, for the past maybe 6-7 years now. But that's about it. But I'm wanting.
Wait. I gotta pause you, my friend. 6 or 7 years. That's pretty amazing, because 6 or 7 years ago, this was not a popular thing.
No. And when it started, like when it was first brought to me via like my email, and I kind of was offended when he said like, we can do this for you and do that. And I'm like, why would I allow you to do something for me and charge me for something that I can do for myself? So after thinking about it for a few days, I sent over a report to them, and they got it back to me in 6 hours. So, and it cost me seven, and it used to take me about a day to do a report. So they got it back to me in 6 hours. I was sold from that point forward. I'm like, I never did a whole report, and I can't even remember the last time I did a whole report from start to finish. So no, and I spend roughly maybe an hour max on any report, and I do anywhere between 170 to 225 is my max every single month.
Let's talk and let's kind of just drill down a little bit, because when we talk virtual assistants, now that can mean a lot of different things, right? I mean, I've got 26 people that work in my branch office. And of those 26, I think 4 of them, that's right, 6 of them are local, meaning they're within 10-minute drive of where I'm at. Now, even those people are not working in a brick and mortar. We have no brick and mortar. We're working remotely. Everybody's working from home. So it doesn't matter if you're in my hometown, or if you're across the state, or if you're across the nation, or if you're across the world. It really is the same, as far as our circumstances go. But that being said, Courtney, when you talk about a virtual assistant, that can be somebody that's domestic. You're talking about somebody that's overseas. But it can also mean 2 different things, in the sense that there are virtual assistant, what I'm going to call companies out there, that do services for appraisers. So you hire the company, and you may not have the same person doing the same tasks for you all the time, or you may, but it's through a third party. Or you can go out and find your own individual, hire your own individual, train your own individual, and work independently with them. That's what we do in our office. So when you talk about having a virtual assistant in India, what form or fashion are we talking about here?
It's a company that does it.
Got it.
And it's a company that does it, and I can send over 20 reports, and I get all 20 within 6 hours.
Got it.
I always do 6 hours. So
now let me ask you this question, because I get a lot of individuals as I'm doing coaching asking me this question. What are the pros and cons of hiring your own virtual assistants versus hiring a company? You chose to go the company route. Talk to us about why that decision was made.
Well, because I chose that because and now I'm kind of like weighing the benefit for it, because I'd spend maybe around maybe 15 to 2,200 a month with a virtual assistant, and for the volume that I do with report writing. But I'm trying to weigh that out versus hiring somebody to do it. And when I first originally thought about it, I just went with them because that's all I knew. Mm-hmm. And the price for every report is reasonable, because if I'm spending $17 to make anywhere between $500 to $750, then that's a no-brainer.
Right.
So, exactly. And then I don't want to train anyone. So they was already specialized in it. They proved themselves to me. So it was a no-brainer. So me being an introvert and not really talking and communicating a lot to people, and it's hard to train people. I tell people I can barely teach somebody to tie a pair of shoes. So me to teach somebody, for me to teach somebody to do a report, to go through this and go through that, it's time consuming. I might not give it to them right, and I might get frustrated. So I just chose the route to, if I want to deal with someone, I want to deal with a professional, someone that knows much. So, and I don't need to tell them much. And that's what I've been doing for 7-8 years. But now it's different now. No, that part will remain the same. But it's more, I'm doing more in like, I'm a real estate broker, also a mortgage broker. And I'm like starting to hire agents, and I'm also a consumer loan lender. So I am trying to lean towards this virtual assistance to deal with that part of what I do.
Right.
And it's extremely hard trying to figure out what I can give up. And because I'm doing it so long myself, and it seemed like, at first it seemed like, why would I get somebody to do something that I can do myself? But the amount of time that I'm freeing up for me to do whatever I want to do and just spend 5, 10, 20 minutes on something, is the best thing in the world.
Well, you know, and that's a question that comes back often. You know, why would I pay somebody else to do something that I can do myself? And I would just say, well, learn the law of delegation and understand that, you know, you as a professional, I guess I would turn it back and say, let's take the doctor's office analogy, right? If a doctor said, why would I hire a receptionist to greet my patients when I could just go out and do it myself? We would all laugh and say that's ridiculous, right? You know, that's not something that a doctor does. And I'm glad that you and I are on the same page when it comes to appraisers or professionals. We need to be doing professional work. And that means that we hire, whether it be, you know, domestically or overseas, that we hire help, and that we understand that that delegation is a way to get time back, right? It's a way to be able to manage your time in such a way that you can focus on what you are best at doing, and that's not data entry, right?
Right, definitely. And you know, like, oh, I'm sorry. No,
please go.
No, and thinking about it, like, it can, in a sense, kind of in a domestic home relationship, it can be the negative side of the delegation, because I get that often. And that what kind of that whole situation kind of also prevents me from getting somewhere, and I just had to do other things for me. So, for example, like vacuuming, cleaning your house. Why would I? And I'm thinking to myself, like, your wife wants you to do this, and I'm thinking to myself, why in the world would I want to vacuum a floor, clean anything that I can pay somebody $15 for, $30 for, when I'm making anywhere between $400 an hour, and to do it? So that, in a sense, it kind of trains me to be, no, I'm not trying to do any of that. And now everything that comes my way, I think about that. I think about how much is this taken away from me that I can just give to somebody else, and just pay them and save money, because time is the most valuable thing that you have. And I just choose not to just waste it at this point. So, and being in a relationship, being in a domestic relationship, your wife say, you should fix this, you should do that, you should do this. And it can cause a problem, because no, I'm not going to do it, because I can pay somebody else to do it. And so, and it overall, it plays into what you can give somebody else. And then you get in that conflict there.
It can be addicting, this idea of delegating. I'm laughing because on more than one occasion, my wife has said to me, Dustin, I need you to do this, and do not delegate it. I need you to do it. We're talking with Mr. Courtney Hoffman out of St. Louis. When we get back from the break, Courtney, I want to dig more into this idea of delegation, and specifically what it means to have an overseas individual that you deal with, and how that happens. I think a lot of appraisers really hold back from moving down that route because they have a hard time understanding how to do it. And I want to talk to you a little bit more about that. But first, I want to pause here and remind everybody that we are sponsored by 3 great companies. One of them, of course, being Working RE Magazine. Folks, we talk about Working RE all the time. Why? Because I've chosen to be a valuation professional, because I've chosen to be an appraiser, and I want to know what's going on in the world of appraising. And frankly, I don't have time to scour everywhere for information and news as to what's going on in the appraisal world, but I can go to one source that does it for me. That's Working RE Magazine. WorkingRE.com is where you go and sign up for their free newsletter. And yeah, you'll get some advertisements once in a while, but folks, mostly this is just good information about what's going on and how the valuation world is moving along. You get it for free at WorkingRE.com. Again, it's WorkingRE.com. Data Master, of course, saving appraisers time. You know, folks, we've done the numbers in our office. When I say it saves 30 to 60 minutes a report, that is not an exaggeration. In fact, last time I checked, I think it was 42 minutes. I mean, we're down to the science of how much time this is saving saving us on every report. Now, I don't know how long it takes you to do an appraisal, but in our office, it's somewhere between 4 and 5 hours on a cookie cutter, right? On a straightforward appraisal. That's from start to finish, man hours. But if you look at what Data Master can save, let's say 40 minutes a report, think about that. You're shaving off almost an hour of a 5-hour report every single time. What is that worth to you? Well, if I were you, I would check out Data Master USA, find out if they are in your area, pick up the phone and call them and talk to them and find out what they can do for you and your particular company. Because folks, this is not a cost. This is an investment. It's datamasterusa.com. One more time, write it down, datamasterusa.com. Finally, we're sponsored by Alamode. Alamode, folks, is the software I've been using for over 20 years, in fact, 27 years to be exact. A long time. My dad was using it for a few years before that. When they first started making Total software back in the DOS version, my dad was on that, believe it or not. That was a long time ago, over 30 years ago. And they continue to service appraisers with the best software out there. Folks, if you're with any other company, I implore you to check out Total. Call them, 800-ALAMO. Just pick up the phone, call them, tell them you're with ABC software, you're interested in what Total can bring to the table. They will tell you. And folks, I'm telling you, yes, they're probably a little more expensive than the competitors, but are you looking at this again as an expense or as an investment? The time and the efforts that they save me with their wonderful tools that are integrated right into the software will blow your mind, mind blowing. Check them out, alamode.com or 800-ALAMODE. And welcome back to the program, everybody. We're talking with Mr. Courtney Hoffman out of St. Louis. Welcome back, Courtney.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
We are talking about virtual assistants, folks. We get a lot of questions here because, Courtney, I've got 7 virtual assistants in my appraisal office, and I actually use virtual assistants outside my appraisal office as well. I have a total of 9 virtual assistants that I work with on a regular basis. These are great individuals who bend over backward to serve and to do the best they can. There's a little bit of a language barrier. There's a little bit of a time zone issue. There's a little bit of I'm never probably going to meet these individuals in person, and that can be hard. That can be barriers to entry for many appraisers thinking, yeah, that might be a good idea, but I don't even know how I would do that. So Courtney, you chose to go with a company, which I think makes that side a little bit easier, but still you deal with some challenge. What are the biggest challenges that you deal with when working with virtual assistants?
Well, I'm going to say this. The virtual assistant company I've been with for the past 7-8 years, I have 0 problems with them. But at this point in the game, I am trying to delegate services. And I am finding the hardest time not understanding, but finding some individual, whether it's from the Philippines. I use different online sites like onlinejobs.ph, look through them, and I get emails from other virtual assistant companies, but I just haven't been able to sit down and say, no, the biggest problem, I'm going to say the absolute biggest problem with delegation is me. I'm the biggest problem because I don't know what to give up. That's
a common problem, my friend.
That's the hardest. That's been the extreme hardest. And I've been working on trying to find a virtual assistant to assist me on different levels for the past 3 months now. I've been online researching, taking classes, and I still cannot figure out what it is I want to give up. And that's the problem.
One of the analogies that I often use in my coaching, Courtney, when people have this struggle, and by the way, it's a very, very common struggle to have, even for somebody like yourself who mentioned that, hey, why would I vacuum the floor when I can pay somebody $15 to vacuum the floor? So you've already got the bug, right? You already understand the concept, but it's still very challenging and difficult to give it up. Do you have kids, Courtney?
Oh, yes, I do.
So the analogy that I often give is, if you were to take, say, your 7-year-old and try to teach that 7-year-old how to clean the bathroom, I mean, there's not a soul listening to this episode who would not say, without even thinking that it's going to be easier for you to clean the bathroom than to teach somebody else how to clean the bathroom, right? And the challenge is you often get to this point of frustration to where you understand the economics of teaching someone else to do something for you, but it's so much easier to just jump in and do it yourself. You've done it for many years. You're very used to it. It'll only take a few minutes. I hear that so often that if I wrote it down and had a dime for everybody that said, yeah, but it only takes me 2 minutes to do that, Dustin, right? Those 2 minutes add up, don't they, Courtney?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
That's the challenge. And I think one of the bigger issues that individuals have, and whether they say this term or not, in some form or fashion, whether their actions say it or their words say it. If you want something done right, you have to do it yourself, right? People have this stuck in their head that I'm the only one that can do it right, which is not true. You get to the point that, again, you wouldn't, as the doctor, go out and greet your patients behind the receptionist desk. You would not take their blood pressure. You would not take their weight. You would do the job that the doctor should do, and that's the diagnosis side of things. So why is the appraiser scheduling their own appointments, doing their own research, doing their own data entry when they really should be focused on the analytical side of the appraisal?
Exactly. And that's the point. I believe the one thing that I told myself over these years, which has been very damaging to me, and also it's been a benefit, but it's been damaging to my growth, is that I can do it all myself. Right. I don't need anyone to do what I can do myself and get it done quicker. But that's not the proper way to think. Not in this.
Right. If you're raising kids, you got to teach your kids how to clean the bathroom. And that doesn't mean the bathroom doesn't get cleaned and cleaned well, but there takes, you move from doing it yourself to supervising and to managing and to overseeing and to quality control checking. And that's the difference, right? The law of delegation doesn't mean that you hire somebody, tell them to do something, and then turn around and go play golf, right? This is a matter of hiring the right people, training them properly, getting checklists in place, overseeing the work, spot checking, if you will, what I call auditing their work, and making sure that they're doing the things that they should do. Because in the end, Courtney, and you'll agree with this, right? In the end, it's your name that goes on that report, and it's your liability that goes out that door, regardless of who did the back end work.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think that is a holdback as well, because for so long, I've always thought, based on the laws or not understanding the laws completely, that some things that you just can't do. Right. You can give other people, which is totally not true. And that held back for a very long time from finding a virtual assistant, because I've thought that I could not give some tasks to other people. I just had to do it. But after so long, and especially listening to your podcast for so many years, that I realized that that's not true. But again, if an individual cannot become a millionaire appraiser, you can be a millionaire appraiser if they go from your episode 1 to the end, because it's so much valuable information for an appraiser that it's mind-blowing. And even now, because of what I've learned from just you alone in the appraisal industry, that I had to subscribe to the All-Star team. Even if I do not use it or go to it, it is valuable. I owe that to you, to support you in that, because your information is so valuable.
You're very kind.
It's just a start, because you actually changed my life when it comes to appraisal work. So I was doing good, but after going through your episodes, I became great. I make so much money doing appraisals. It puts me in the door with lawyers, put me in the room with lawyers, doctors, president, the governor. So I don't know where I would be without being an appraiser. And the mere fact that I think I'm so expensive, so I only work with the best. So and because of that, is that the confidence of that comes from you, from
You're
you,
very kind. You're very kind.
From your training, what you're teaching. And it's just you give so much, and it's like you just give it, like no matter what program you put together, it's just like, okay, I know that you told me that, but and I'm gonna do that now, and you build up on that. It's a constant build. Like even now, you can go through your episodes and talk about and listen to 20 or 30 virtual assistants podcasts, and I've listened to them all, and I'm still having that trouble of getting it. So I think that is the benefit of connecting with you, to break through that mindset of that you don't have to do it all alone. And I think that's one of your biggest strength, is to let the other appraisers know that you don't have to do it alone. You can give tasks to other people and make your worth more valuable.
Check is in the mail, Courtney. Very kind of you to say. All right, let's say that there's a listener out there who's been listening for a while, who kind of gets it when it comes to law delegation, maybe hasn't really, jumped into that world yet, but understands the principle, understands the value. What would you say to that individual who's looking at maybe getting a virtual assistant or hiring a virtual assistant company, but is just not ready to take the leap yet?
Okay, I would say the very first thing is understanding what your needs are. And then understanding what you should give up or what you can afford to give up. And then third, I would select a overseas virtual assistants first before I do domestic. And the reason being, I guess it's tax reasons, because you got the 1099 reporting and you have the possible W-2 employee reportings that you have to deal with. So to start off, I would say that would be the reasons for me selecting a virtual assistant and overseas one. So it's just a matter of finding a reputable company and be able to take the risk. And the greater the risk, the greater the reward. So I think that if I do so much with the appraisal and the virtual assistant just from typing my reports. If I had a virtual assistant that does, which I'm working on now, that scheduling my appointments and planning my routes out, I can double what I'm doing now. So, and that's the stage that I'm at now. It's just me trying to figure out how to give it up.
Courtney Hoffman, you're a friend, you're a colleague, you're a gentleman, you're a saint. I appreciate you coming back on the program, my friend. The wisdom that you've shared, I hope, will be internalized by my listeners, because it's a whole new world when you start to realize that delegation is not just a great idea, it's a great practice. Courtney, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you.
You've been listening to the Appraiser Coach podcast with Dustin Harris. If you like what you hear, please give us a 5-star rating and post a short review on iTunes. For more in-depth insider information on how you can make more money as a real estate appraiser, visit theappraisercoach.com and sign up for the All-Star team today. Thanks for joining us. And now, get out there and create some value.